Banadipi bandiswadde nnyo singa president waabwe yagwa Kalulu. Tetwandirabise bulungi. Ne kumakya nabadde njogera nabo ne bagamba tewandibadde wekka, si gwe president wekka yesimbawo, kuba abamu ba president bano besimbawo ku bwa parliament n'ebifo ebirala ne bawangulwa. Nga president wa Democratic Front yawangulwa, president wa FDC yawangulwa, president wa Jema yawangulwa, owa PFF yali Lord Mayor naye bamufulumiza, ne president wa NUP yawangula mu kalulu k'obwa president. Ebyo byonna bitegeeza nti ground ekyuse, tekiyamba okunenya president w'ekibiina oba okunenya ekibiina. Weewaawo twalina ebizibu, tetwalina sente ze baali batusuubiza eza iPod tezajja, naddala ku lw'entalo n'olutalo olwaliwo wakati wa UPC ne NRM, sente tezajja. Ffe DP twali tubanja government bilioni 2 baagaana ozituwa, ne sente za campaign ze twakanyako mu summit ya iPod tebaazituwa. N'olwekyo bakandidate baffe baali mu buzibu nnyo. Campaign ya Kaluba twagezaako okunoonya akasente, abamu twasobola okubayamba naye nga tuyozaayoza abasobola okuyitamu, n'abamu nga bano ba Sara Adong guno gwakubiri. Olaba MP waffe owa Aswa ku luno awangudde naye yeesimbyewo mirundi 4, n'olwekyo temupowa, muddeyo mukole, mujja kuwangula. Enkya tutandikirawo meeting zaffe okwezuula, okwekuŋŋaanya tusobole okuwangula mu kalulu akaddako. Tugenda kutuuza meeting y'abakulembeze ab'oku ntikko, tusalewo ddi lwe tutuuza NEC ng'omwezi gw'okusatu tegunnaba kuggwa, tusobole okukola enteekateeka zaffe ze tuyita strategic plan etutwala mu kalulu akaddako. Tulabe nga tukola ne plan y'abavubuka, engeri gye tugenda okukungamu abavubuka n'okutereeza ekibiina ky'abakyala ki Women's League. Ebyo byonna tuteeka okubikola. Kati tulina okulaunchinga kye tuyita permanent campaign, ate tuzimba ku bintu bye tusobodde okukola. Wano mu Kampala twalina candidate ate yali w'amaanyi, teyasobola kuwangula naye yakola kinene nnyo okufulumya Lukwago, kubanga ye yali afuuse ssaabakungubazi. Kampala yeetaaga bukulembeze so si muntu akungubaga bulijjo. Oyo ye bamufulumiza. Ate akalulu akaddako tumanyi nti DP ejja kawangula, kubanga bangi bajjukira nga DP eri mu buyinza mu Kampala ng'omuntu wa wansi yeeyagala, rent nga tebasasula mu $, abatembeeyi tetubavuluga, naye nga kijja kwesigama ku bakulembeze abatagenda kuva mu field. Ne woba nga owanguddwa, beera n'abantu nga kandidate waffe owa Lord Mayor, oluvannyuma lw'okuwangulwa yazzeeyo mu bantu ng'alinako ebintu by'abagabira abakadde. Kati waliwo byatumiza okuba ebweru, gloves ez'abana abeera enguudo. Kati omuntu bw'atyo abalonzi tebajja kumujjukira, tebajja kumwerabira. Abalonzi bajja kumujjukira nti abakolera. Naye w'osiiba wano e Kampala oli mu ntalo z'ekibiina ng'akalulu kankya ng'ogamba nti mumpe tikiti, tojja kusobola kuwangula. Curriculum yakyuse, abalonzi kati nabo kati bagezi nnyo, balina engeri gye balowoozaamu. Nange nasobola okuloza ku mbeera empya eyo, n'olwekyo tuddeyo ku drawing board tujja kuwangula. There was a hand here. Wabaawo okukaanya buli kaseera kitegeeza omuntu omu yalowooleza ekibiina, era kasita olaba nga ekibiina kiringa kwaya ng'omanya nti erina obuzibu. Tusazeewo era tugenda kukiteesaako tulabe nga tutereeza ekibiina kyaffe. Tulina okutuula nga bammemba ba DP tukakane embeera. Tukubiriza buli wa DP twetereeze. Obutakaanya bulina okubeerawo, naye nga obutakaanya buli ku nsonga ki? Omuntu wabanga talina bisaanizo okubeera pulezidenti w'ekibiina, ekyo toyinza gamba nti olina obutakaanya. Kati bw'obanga tofunye grades kuyingiza mu ssomero ng'ogamba nti olina obutakaanya n'essomero, essomero zirina amateeka, amasomero galina amateeka. Ebisaanizo tobiina ng'okifuula nti kya buli omu, kiri eri wakati wo ne institution. Ekyo si kye tuyinza okugamba nti obutakaanya. Kati bw'obanga towagira Mao naye nga majority ewagira Mao, ekyo toyinza kukiyita butakaanya. Kwegamba gwafuuse a misfit. You are just a misfit. N'olwekyo tuleme kuwaga ensonga ezitaliimu makulu. Obutakaanya kitegeeza nti wogamba nti mpakanya ekya cooperation agreement, ekyo oyinza okiyita obutakaanya, naye nga points zo zeziriwa ate alternative zeziriwa. Olaba bonna abakola ekintu ekyo ne bagamba nti kibiina bakitunze biki baagwa, kitegeeza abalonzi bali ku ludda lwaffe. Abalonzi bagamba nti tulage wa w'oyimiridde. Ogamba nti siwagira Mao kubanga Mao ekibiina kyaffe akitutte mu NRM, naye gwe weesibye ku NUP. Kati aba NUP original weebali, kati gwe oli photocopy. Nga lwaki bakulonda? Ekibiina kino kya bannayuganda bonna, era DP esobola okuwangula kasita tubeera ne demokrasiya. Awatali demokrasiya DP tesobola kuwangula. Bulijjo mbagamba ne bw'obeera Messi ng'omanye akapiira, naye bw'oyingira mu kisaawe ng'abasambi banno batambula n'amajjambiya, onooteeba otya? Eyo y'embeera eri mu Uganda. N'olwekyo tutereeze ekisaawe first and foremost, DP ejja kuwangula. Kyoba olaba nti missoni yaffe yakulaba nga tuzimba demokrasi, twalwanira multiparty, kubanga twagala bannayuganda babeere ne choice. Ekyokubiri, tulina okulaba nga tulwanisa obutujju. DP tekkiririza mu butujju, violence. DP is non-violent. Era bulijjo twogera ku non-violence. Ekyokusatu, DP ekkiriza mu kukuuma amateeka. This is the first press conference we are having since the elections. We went into the elections when we were not in a good shape. For three reasons. Number one, we were swimming against a current of a false narrative that DP was no longer existing as a separate entity. Many of our leaders, particularly in the central region of Buganda, spent more than 3 years telling the voters that DP had been sold. that DP does not exist as a separate political party, that the president of DP had joined the NRM, and they repeated that for 3 years. No wonder when they went to contest on the DP ticket, they lost the elections badly. Now that is what they call self-inflicted injury. So we had that false narrative we were dealing with. Number two, we went in with no money. We were able to pay nomination fees for our parliamentary candidates. But even that money was not enough. Some of our members of parliament had to pay for their own nominations. And up to now, many of them are still demanding a refund from the party because we had promised. We were unable to make posters for our candidates because of the quarrels in IPOD, primarily between UPC and NRM. The resources that the IPOD summit had agreed upon were never released. So that was the second challenge we faced as we went into the elections. That factor was compounded by the fact that the majority of our candidates were new people, young, and when you are young and new, it means you don't have capacity to fundraise. If you have a candidate like Bale, who was our youth candidate, how many people does he know who can give him money? So eventually, the task of fundraising fell upon me as the president of the party to try and raise money through connections. But still, I don't think we raised even 20% of the money we needed. Some of the candidates who are gainfully employed, who had some bit of money, they made some traction. But it was not enough to counter the opposition that we faced. Number three, our partners in the NRM largely treated our DP candidates as negative forces instead of partners. So you find that in Palisa, the RDC of Palisa spent all the months of the campaign attacking Okoler. And yet, in principle, given that we are in partnership with the NRM, it should have been left for the people to choose. And I contend that the candidates that DP put forward in most constituencies were far better than the NRM candidates. And many of the NRM candidates had to be given a push by state organs, including security, for them to win. As a result, most of our candidates campaigned on their own. The party as an institution was absent to support them because the party didn't have the means to move around the country. I was only able to move around the constituencies that were neighboring Gulu City. And then I came to Kampala City for a few days, but I was not able to physically go to any other constituency. I offered some financial support to some candidates within the little resources that I was able to mobilize. So the election was a big test for our partnership with the NRM, and it showed that it seems only President Museveni values the partnership. The majority of his leaders don't seem to value the partnership. As you know, I also faced stiff competition from an incumbent member of parliament who was heavily funded. I also faced opposition in the constituency by an NRM candidate. And then there was another candidate, our former vice chairman of the party, who decided to join UPC. This morning when I came here, I told my colleagues that how would they have felt if the party president had been defeated in a parliamentary election. Then they told me that you should not forget that many party presidents lost parliamentary elections. The party president of the Democratic Front lost parliamentary election. The party president of JEMA lost parliamentary election. The party president of FDC lost parliamentary elections. So
Noop lost.
Yeah, the party president of Noop lost at a very high level.
PFF.
The party president of PFF also lost the position of Lord Mayor of Kampala. So my colleagues were consoling me that I would not be alone in the losers' lounge, that I would have very good company. But Gulu is where I come from. Gulu is what made me. I went into the campaign to go back to my roots. So despite those challenges, we were able to defy the false prophets who had said that DP was going to be relegated and would not even qualify to join IPOD, and that we would not even get a single member of parliament. Unfortunately, those false prophets claimed to be DP. They assured us that we were not going to have a single seat in parliament. I can share with you my own experience of the campaign. I left parliament 20 years ago, and I'm returning 20 years later. The people who were born when I was last in parliament are now the voters. And when they hear the name Norbert Mao, they wonder what he really means. They don't relate to him at all. People tell them about the peace talks in Juba, and they say, well, what about them? We are not in school. That's what we care about. We don't care whether you walked 16 miles to the forests of Garamba in Congo. We don't care how hard you fought for the amnesty law. We don't care about your fights for multi-party democracy. We don't even care about your fights against corruption as a young MP. So I had to be very humble and accept that the ground had shifted. In short, I collided with what you would call a new curriculum. The political curriculum has changed completely. And the Democratic Party and all political parties and all candidates have got to now have voters who relate more to TikTok celebrities than men and women of solid ideas. We now have an electorate that can change their vote for 2,000 shillings on election day. We now have an electorate that can change their vote for a piece of soap and half a kilo of sugar. I'm glad I went into the contest because I realized that I was out of touch with the real people, the real Ugandans. So to my colleagues, whether you won or lost, I think it is important to reflect on the real things you found there. I've been seeing the discussions on our party platforms. Others are fuming at the secretariat. Others are fuming at the party president. Others are blasting the party. That's not how you will win in 2031. That's if you still want to be a member of parliament or to be elected. You can blame anybody. Everybody was fighting. Even your president was fighting for his political life. And I can assure you, I had more opposition than all of you combined. So the blame game will not work. My message to all our candidates is simple. Let us regroup and rebuild. It is as simple as that. And regrouping means you look at what you mean to your own voters. It is no longer enough to shine on talk shows in Kampala and you think you can be elected in the village. You can be a celebrity here. I can actually be a celebrity here at this press conference. But when I go back to La Ropeche, it is a different ball game because I'm meeting market women who are being chased by creditors. And they are not interested about my discussion of the politics of transition. They are not even interested about constitutional reforms. For them, they want a solution to the simple problem of capital for their small businesses. In short, let's go back to basics and address the real problems of Ugandans. So whether you won or lost, from today, reinvent yourself as a mouthpiece to articulate the issues you found on the ground. Talk about them. Don't go into a pause mode and wait until the Secretary General calls for nominations again, and then you surface. So I wish to declare a season of a permanent campaign. So the campaign for the next elections begin today. So today you must decide whether you are still in the battle. If you are in the battle, then start the campaign immediately today. Go back home hold a small Thanksgiving in your compound. It doesn't matter whether you have 10 people, 20 people, 50 people, but talk about the things you found when you were campaigning. Articulate the problems of young people. Set up a community-based organization. Attend the meetings of the village savings and loan associations and get out of Kampala. All those who were spending all their time fighting the Mao leadership in Kampala went and lost. Because they spend more time talking to me than talking to their voters. And all those who were blaming, saying that DP cannot be voted for, were shocked. We lost our base of Buganda in the last election. And we lost it because of the reckless talk of our own leaders. I said it here in my previous press conferences, that you cannot be a bishop who goes around telling everybody that your church has been sold, that they are no longer worshiping the true God. Then you go and say, bring your children to be baptized. No one will bring their children to you. And worse still, when you are still dressed as a bishop of that very church. So, ironically, what happened was a good thing. So why is it that DP was able to win the majority of seats in Omoro district council? DP has the majority. In Gulu City, in the eastern side, we didn't have a lot of strong candidates of DP. But on the western side, we have seven councillors in that city division council. A large number. In Gulu district, we got the chair and the MP. In Noya, we have 2 out of the 3 parliamentary seats. And we would have even got more. So what was the difference? How come that the DP MPs were able to win in those areas, and then here in the heartland of DP, they were able to lose? Because if you are a DP candidate and you speak like Noop, then they say, why should we get the copy? Let's get the original. So none of us spoke like NRM. We knew we were in partnership with NRM, but we never spoke like NRM. We spoke like DP. But they were here in the central region of Buganda. The DP candidates were competing with Noop on how much they hate Museveni and the NRM. So they said, we know the Kavule people can do it better than you, if that's what it is about. So they voted rightly for the Kavule people. If I'm a priest and I'm trying to compete with a witch doctor, then people say, yeah, then I think the witch doctor is the real deal. They will vote for the witch doctor in Okusamira. Because when you are holding Holy Communion and the wine glass and holding a Bible, and yet you are claiming to be a witch doctor, then they said, we must now have this one, even as a shrine and all those gadgets of witch doctors. So let us pick up the lessons and move on. What matters? Everybody must pick their own lessons. It is unfortunate that we could not keep our promise because our promise was based on a promise made to us by the Uganda government, a promise of funding. At one point, I even had to make an executive decision to go into borrowing. So that is my reflection on our experience. In Kampala, for the first time, we had a candidate for the position of Lord Mayor who gave the party a lot of visibility. Again, because of the narrow-minded politics that I talked about, many of the councillors did not want to move with our DP candidate for Lord Mayor, just because she has the last name Mao. So they would say, but she went into the entire city telling them that I'm not here to explain the cooperation agreement. I'm just here to tell you that you are not doing well under Lukwago. And that has nothing to do with Mao signing an agreement with President Museveni. So wake up and stop being stupid first and foremost. Be intelligent. Your roads are not well done. You don't have schools. Your markets have been given away to politicians. The market women have to sell on the pavements. Rent is too high. You, the traders, they are charging you in dollars. Those are the issues. But now you want to debate political cooperation between two political parties. First, you are not qualified to debate that topic. Secondly, it is irrelevant. It is now, if you go to my village and people are analyzing Russia and Ukraine, of what benefit is analyzing Russia and Ukraine war when all you need is fertilizer and good seeds and affordable tractors to come and plow your garden so you can pay fees to your children who hopefully will go to the UN and debate Ukraine and Russia. But you at your level, of what benefit is Russia and Ukraine? What is called committing class suicide. Despite living in London for over 30 years, she was like any common person in this city. She went to the markets and she hasn't stopped. In fact, she's already doing what I've called everybody to do. Even today, she's going to the villages, distributing the balance of t-shirts she had printed. The other day, she was busy distributing sugar and soap to the elderly, which none of the so-called winners have even done. I saw the winner of the Lord Mayor race that now is meeting people from New York. on nice sofas. I mean, let us live like the real Uganda. Do you people know what the real Uganda is like? I think we are deceiving ourselves. She has ordered gloves. I think tomorrow a cargo plane is bringing thousands of gloves for the women who sweep the streets. Because these women are touching things which are giving them infections. That's what she discovered, and she's responding. She said, I can afford this. Let me bring the gloves. I may not be the Lord Mayor, but if I can give 15,000 gloves for the women who sweep the streets, that's okay. They don't even have to vote for me, but at least I will have done something good for my city. That's why her slogan was, your city, your say. But at least the pressure the DP candidate put led to the eviction of areas Lukwago, which is a good thing. In fact, Kampala, on the day that he lost, Kampala improved tremendously. Because Kampala needs leadership, not someone who is a specialist in mourning. So now, the DP brand is back in the city. The other candidates of DP didn't have any manifesto. Our only disappointment is the mystery of where the NRM candidate got the votes.
Okay.
Do you people even know the NRM candidate?
No.
I've not seen him in any media house. I don't even know what his issues are. But somehow, some votes were genetically manufactured for him, and he ends up as the number 2 candidate. He never held any events.
Sure.
So definitely his votes must have come from some mysterious source. So DP has a duty to come back to Kampala and fight for this city. When DP was in charge of Kampala, the ordinary people thrived in this city. Rent was not being charged in dollars. But now you ended up with a Lord Mayor who pays allegiance